And that is the expression to make something stretch. Stretch is when you, let's see, maybe we should just pull up a picture of stretching in case you don't know that word. Let's see, stretching. It's easier, I think, to show pictures of stretching. It's used for physical fitness. So, for example, let me just show you this picture here. These are stretches. These are people stretching. Let's see. But let's show something else. This is also stretching. See, like this rubber band is stretching. So it's kind of like taking something small and trying to make it bigger is what stretching is. Making it cover more area. What else? Do we have any other stretching? No, they mostly just show people stretching, but you can use it in a lot of different ways. Okay, but the expression to make something stretch means to make something that is limited last a long time. So, for example, if you make money stretch, that's because you have very little money and you're trying to make it cover a lot of area. And Inash Sherry says thanks. Thank you for watching, Inash. Let's see. So let's see how we can use this in a sentence. Making something stretch, making something small cover a big area. It's a very common phrase, actually. So here's a situation. John lost his job. Now he had $5,000 in the bank, but he didn't know how long it would take to until he would get a new job. So he was very worried because maybe $5,000 sounds like a lot of money, but if it will take several months before he finds a job, he has to make that money stretch. He has to make that $5,000 cover a very big area. He had to make his money stretch. So he was very careful with that $5,000 because he didn't know when he would get more money. He didn't know when he would get a new job. Let's make a how made his money stretch question. How made his money stretch? How did he make, how did he make his money stretch, cover a big area? How did he make his money stretch? How did he make his money stretch? How did he make his money stretch? Now let's make this into a reported speech question. Lucy asked him. She asked him. Now the direct question is, how did he make? Okay, that's the question form. But we are not asking a question anymore, so we have to make this the statement form. How he made. She asked him how he made his money stretch. She asked him how he made his. She asked him how he made his. She asked him how he made his money stretch. Now, because this is reported speech, we should change the past made to the past perfect, had made. She asked him how he had made his money stretch. She asked him how he'd made. She asked him how he'd made. She asked him how he'd made his. She asked him how he'd made his money stretch. She asked him how he'd made his money stretch. She asked him how he had made his money stretch. She asked him how he'd made his money stretch. This is how he answered. He made his money stretch by being very careful. He made his money stretch by being very careful. Now let's change this to reported speech. He said He said that he had made. He said that he'd 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 made his. He said that he'd made his. He said that he'd made his money stretch by being very careful. He said that he had made his. He said that he'd made his. He said that he'd made his money stretch by being very careful. He said that he'd made his money stretch by being very careful. Okay, let's try another example using this expression to make something stretch, which means make something last a very long time because you don't know if you have enough or you're afraid you won't have enough of it in the future. Here's a situation. Mike and John went camping for 1 week. Now they could only bring a little food because they had to carry it while they were camping. So they had to be very careful about how much food they ate every day. They had to make their food stretch. Let's make a how made their food stretch question. How? How did they? How did they make? How did they make their food? How did they make their food stretch? Now, let's make a reported speech question. Mary asked them. She asked them. She asked them. She asked them. She asked them. Now, the direct question is, how did they make? But this is not a question anymore. This is a statement. She asked them. So we don't use the question form. We have to use the statement form. How they made. She asked them 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 how they made their food stretch. Now, because it's reported speech, we should change made, which is in the past, to past perfect. Had made. She asked them how they had made. She asked them how they'd made. She asked them how they'd made their food stretch. She asked them how they'd made their food stretch. Okay, and this is how they answered. We were very careful. We were very careful. Now let's change that to reported speech. They said that they had made. They said that they'd made. They said that they'd made their food stretch. They said that they'd made their food stretch by, or let's say because. They said that they'd made their food stretch because they had been, because they'd been very careful. They said they'd made their food stretch because they'd been very careful. All right, you're doing a great job. Just stick with me a little while longer. We've got 2 more, and then we're finished. So let's bring up the next vocabulary word here, which is obstinate.